Good evening, YouTubers. It's a fabulous sunset. We're on the front deck enjoying the sun. Well, it's gone now, but we're catching the last of it. And we've got the rock in the background there. Had a fantastic day today. I've been out with Mark and his missus on his boat,
and you finished all the stuff off with the circular saw on the side of the boat this morning.
Yeah.
That was very stressful. So I hate those things.
So we're on with the boat DIY and that, Fiona doesn't want to show it at the moment because it looks a bit of a mess, but it's getting there,
I'll have to do little videos as I go along over the next month, and then I can show everybody everything, because it's all going to happen in one kind of hit.
Yeah, and I've been finding some old videos. I say old, only a couple of years old, but a couple of years ago I'd make a video, bang it up, and like 20 people would watch it. And I've got a lot more subscribers now, so I've re-edited them and put them back on, and now they're getting decent hits, which is good. Saves me doing the video again, going back up to the top of the rock and things.
Yeah, it was good fun that day going
filming
up
the
with
monkeys
Michael.
and that. Yeah, Michael's a YouTuber. He's got the Spain Gibraltar channel. Put links to his channel. He's a really funny guy. He's a good YouTuber, and he's coming on. He's getting plenty of subscribers.
He definitely is. Yes. I haven't seen him in a while. Oh, I saw him maybe a month ago.
He waves. He pulled up on the railings over on the side there and went, "Avid Gardner, hello."
Yeah.
And we thought, who's that?
Yeah.
Anyway, he introduced himself, and we've done a few videos with him over the few years.
Oh, I'm really tired. Anyway, ghost stories.
It's been a long day. Yes. People have been asking about ghosts.
Oh, I've got
popular,
tons of them.
That place, I mean, you think about it, any hospital should be haunted, if anywhere, you'd think. But I've asked people in Gibraltar, where's the... And loads of people come out with different answers. Town Range was a common one. People said, oh yeah, you don't want to live up there, that's really sort of creepy area to live in. Some really swanky, expensive apartments up there as well.
It's lovely up there, actually, Town Range. Really nice.
Yeah.
It's one of my favourite places.
Until it goes dark.
No, I've never had a bad feeling being up there.
One of Ben's friends said his worst fear was the Moorish Castle. You can probably see the Moorish Castle. It's there. Anyway. That is centuries old. I mean, it got battered in wars and they rebuilt it in 1333. And until 2010, which is only 14 years ago, it was the prison. It was the local prison.
Yeah.
And the 14th century courtyard was full of huts like Tenko and barbed wire, and they used to put people in. It was a joke.
Ooh.
Anyway, they built a nice new prison. Sorry, I made boring.
No, I'm so tired. It's been a struggle with the boat. I'm not going to say why.
It's been a hot one, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, this friend of Ben's, being teenagers, smoking weed and getting up to mischief, and anyway, because the place has been deserted. I'm talking about the Moorish Castle. It's been deserted and empty since 2010. And, the Gibraltar government hasn't thought, oh, hang on, genuine medieval castle, millions and millions of pounds in tourist revenue. They just left it abandoned.
They will.
They'll get round to it one day.
It'll be a pub,
but
a restaurant.
The kids climbed over the wall and got in, and they're there with the phones, filming about, and
what, in the old prison?
Yeah. Wandering about, and they had an encounter.
Oh, with the workman in the Lumo jacket.
No, that was the lower siege tunnels. No, this was in the actual prison itself.
I don't know this story.
This chair moved all on its own, and they were just all freaked out, and they just screamed and ran off.
Which one of ours was that? Benji? Or Faith?
One of Ben's friends. Ben wasn't there. It was one of the Ben's friends I was talking about.
I know Benji went up.
The guy with the camouflaged car.
Oh, right, yeah. Well, Benji was up with the guy with the camouflaged car. Well, Matthews. Everybody knows it's Matthews. They've seen him on videos before. Really funny kid. They went up lower siege, and there was a gate locked, with a padlock on it, so they couldn't get into the tunnel. And they were like, oh, they've put a gate on the bloody tunnel, because the kids, they're awful, they go all over the place. And then they saw a man inside the tunnel.
Emerging from the darkness.
No, he came from the side and he walked away from them into the darkness. And he had a Lumo jacket on and a white hard hat.
Unlikely ghost, isn't it?
They reckoned he wasn't making any noise with his footsteps, and he just disappeared into the dark, and it totally freaked them out. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, 14th century castle, and they it wasn't just the chair. There was some other things that freaked them out about it.
Oh, you see, people. I know loads of people who've seen actual people, not see-through.
Really?
That well, I won't say his name because there was a doodah over cameras in the toilets, if you remember. But he he lived in Town Range, and he said that one night him and his family were watching telly, and they had like a little vestibule, and the handle was turning on the door to the left and the right, and his mum eventually got up to open the door. They couldn't think who it could be. And there was a girl about 12 years old in an old-fashioned long white nightie, dripping wet, blue lips, white skin, and they were all staring at her, and he said she was solid, absolutely solid. And I can't remember if he said his mum shut the door or if the girl walked through a wall, but she was gone.
No, that's creepy, isn't
it? And
he
was
wouldn't
called.
want to see
I think
that.
we could go as far as to say his name was Colin. He wasn't exactly a mate of mine, but we worked together. And he was also the one who used to go down when King's Bastion was the power station. He used to break in there when he was a kid. It was all full of asbestos. And he said he used to go in there, and it was like Indiana Jones, because it was abandoned for years. Indiana Jones, it was covered in snakes. Because a lot of people buy pet snakes and they get too big and they can't handle them, and they just let them go. Monkeys hate them.
They did it in England. They had the terrapins. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and they were selling terrapins as turtles, weren't they? And
I
they
don't
get
mind
too
it.
big and smelly, and then Dad just let them go in the river, and they thrived apparently, and they've eaten all the fish.
I wouldn't mind confronting a terrapin. I'm not so sure about a bloody snake.
Causing loads of problems, but they're really vicious apparently.
No, the
They've
ghost
been the
stories.
scourge of the waterways.
I was thinking about Sandra, who has made her presence known actually in the last few weeks. I can't remember how, but
I've heard the odd bump and thing, but I haven't seen it.
It was a few weeks ago, and you said, that's right, you said you'd seen her or something.
No, I heard someone come up the stairs. I thought you come to the ice machine.
Right.
And I turned round to speak to you, and you weren't there.
Right.
And I said to you, Fiona, and you were like on the sofa.
And a couple of months ago, she was stomping about in the wheelhouse in the middle of the night. Do you remember? And neither of us could be asked to get out of bed. We just thought, that's Sandra.
You left the back door wide open last night.
I went to bed before you.
Oh, so I left the door open.
I go to bed early.
No, you couldn't have done because you brought the cat in. You made a point of bringing the cat in and shutting the door.
No, then what you're talking about is I got up at 5:30 this morning to eat the cabbage, the sauerkraut. So I opened the door and then I went to sleep on the sofa.
I don't want you breaching my security.
The marina's quite safe. Well, we went to the bar one night years ago here, and I left a radio with Benji. Benji would have been about, I don't know, 13.
Yeah.
But yeah, 12 or 13. I said, we'll be in the bar, I've got a radio, and it was quite noisy in the bar, so I turned the volume down, and then he turned up at the restaurant in floods of tears, and he said, there's an intruder on the boat, they're in your cabin. Oh my God, half the boat owners, the security, all of us came racing down to the boat. They checked the cameras, there was nobody there was no one on the boat. And I said to him, well, what happened? He said, there was a person with a hoodie, and I'm thinking it's Sandra's dressing gown, because her dressing gown had a hood. And he said they went down the stairs into our cabin, opened the toilet door and went into the toilet.
And,
and he freaked. He totally freaked. And he said,
this
"What?"
dead stocky security guard, Spanish guy, came with me because I legged it here.
Yeah.
And we searched the boat. There was
Yeah.
nothing. And he's like this. "Oh, I'll go and check the security." And he went
Yeah.
went away and checked the cameras. And he came back. He said, "There's nothing on the cameras. Nothing." Anyone would have come and gone.
And we
They'd have
checked
been
everything,
seen.
and Ben was adamant.
Yeah.
He did say it was a black hoodie, but I don't think so, because she wears a pale blue dressing gown with like a toweling one with a hood, and she has pale blue and white stripy pyjamas. And I bet it's because it was dark. He probably saw some sort of effigy of her.
Maybe.
Never see her in the front part of the boat. Never see her in the kitchen, in the
No.
galley, or Benji's room.
I've never come face to face with her. You just hear noises and you hear footsteps.
I've seen her face.
Have you?
I've seen her face to face. Yeah.
Where?
She was. You see where the TV is?
Yeah.
She was standing right in front of the TV one
That's where
morning.
she died.
And I was in the galley, and she was looking down at me because the galley's much lower. She was just looking down at me. So
Did
I know
you look her right out, or just
yes,
keep corner your eye and looked?
looked her dead in the eye, and then she disappeared. And that's how I know the colour of her dressing gown and her pyjamas. And yeah, that is where she died. Where I sleep all the time, I come and watch the telly.
So you're closer to her.
But the more I work on the boat and fix it up, the happier she is. She threw me out my chair once. You've actually got photographs of
I
me
had
with
to
the.
replace the plug.
I had a black eye, literally a black eye, and it was physical impossibility. What happened? I was sitting in the wicker chair that Graham uses in the wheelhouse, and I mean, if you played this sort of game, you could not get that chair to topple over easily, could you? Certainly not forwards.
No.
And I was sitting watching the TV over the steering wheel of the boat, and I must have nodded off, you know, just leaning back in the chair. And then suddenly the whole chair lifted up, and I was thrown forward, and I hit my eye on the plug socket. Graham came up, went, "What the fuck's going on? Have we got an intro?" I mean, it was a big noise, wasn't it? And I said, "I don't know how the hell that happened."
I thought you were just drunk and
I hadn't even
fell
been
out of the chair.
Hadn't even been drinking. I'd come home from Quayside Sales and Crew. Thought I'd just watch a bit of the internet, and it was slow as anything. Kept buffering, and I got bored and nodded off. But yeah, and I had a black eye, and everybody thought Graham had hit me, and it was Sandra. She obviously thought it was time I went to bed.
What a hint, eh?
Tossed
Not
me
for your
clean.
own good. Give you a black eye for your own good.
Tossed me clean out of the chair. I'm just
Oh.
thank God the cat litter wasn't there in those days. So that's
Oh,
exactly
yeah.
where the cat litter is now, isn't it?
Isn't it? Cat's here somewhere.
Head first in the cat litter.
No. No.
Buddy! Come here. Come here. Come on.
She's prowling around the chair. So we've had a good
Get
suntan today anyway. So we're thinking of... I mentioned the Morris Castle in the video that I re-edited, which is on today. Monkeys in the Morris Castle. Well worth looking at. But yeah, we should take a closer look at the Morris Castle, really.
Not tomorrow.
Not tomorrow, no, but I mean, it involves getting that little tiny bus all the way to the top of the rock. It's an amazing
Oh, what, you don't... I've
14th
never,
century
ever got the bus up
castle. I have.
there. I've never... I always walk.
And, yeah, but I've had an operation. I can't be walking up all them steps.
Nonsense, you
Get the
did
bus.
8 kilometres.
Anyway, what was I going to say? There's
bus.
an amazing 14th century gatehouse, right, which tourists would be like, wow. And I swear to God, they've got breeze blocks and they've bricked up the doorway all the way to the top and cemented it, and it's just like, are you serious? And in front of it, they've tarmacked it all, and it's a car park for the Morris Castle estate. And you're looking at it and you're thinking, hang on, that's a 14th century gatehouse which leads into a 14th century castle. Don't forget it was rebuilt. It's much older than that. It got battered and destroyed. They had to rebuild it in 1333. So it's 1,000 years old, this thing, you know. And can you imagine what kind of tourist attraction that would be if they
The Moorish castle is lovely
if they
inside.
opened it to the public, you know, as what it is. But I mean, I think it's too haunted. There's a reason they don't want to touch it. I don't know what the reason is. I think there's more to it than we understand.
I had a mate who came over from, before we arrived. I knew this fella he's really well known in Gib. He's so funny. He got locked up in Gib for 2 years. Never charged, never convicted.
Yeah.
That's how things were in those days. If they didn't like the look of your face, you could just be locked up. And he was a sort of a young lad then. And they used to break out on a Friday night. A whole group of them go down to casemates, get pissed, shag the girls, but they had to make sure they were back in. But when they went to go back in, something had gone wrong. I think a guard had locked a gate that was unexpected for them.
I don't know.
And he ended up, oh my God, when I was at the bowling centre, they said, oh, you mustn't be friends with him. He was Gibraltar's most wanted. And I thought, oh my God, wait till they find out about me.
Well, the story was that the 14th century castle has got tunnels under it, running all over the place, and it comes down to casemates. So the prisoners had figured out a way of escaping from the prison, right? And they'd go down the tunnels into Casemate Square, get in touch with their mates. The mates would turn up, and they'd all be getting pissed, having beer. And they have a head count in the morning. So long as they've had the beer, gone back up the tunnels, got back in the cell in time for the head count, nobody knows you've been out. But this is how dilapidated that's why they've got a brand new prison now down the south end.
Oh yeah, there's
it's
no
nice,
getting out of that one.
It's all nice and new and modern, exactly as you'd expect it to be. But I mean, while they were using the old Moorish castle, it was a joke. It really was a joke. But they all got pissed up one night and got lost in the tunnels.
Yeah, he was on the run for 2 weeks apparently, and he was found in a girl's wardrobe.
Hiding.
Yeah.
What a cool place to hide.
I think he got grassed. He's very respectable now. He's a member
Is he between the petticoats and the
he's
slips?
Sort of a member of the law enforcement community now these days, I think, and he's got a wife and family. He's very respectable.
Some of the best police officers, you know, have come from ex-villains, you know, because they know all the ins and outs. But then, when they were all snooty at one point, weren't they? And they'd never let.
Oh, he's lovely. Everybody loves him.
Yeah.
Really nice guy. But yeah, imagine being locked up for 2 years. You don't know what for. You have got no charge.
Yeah.
But that's how it was in those days.
Yeah.
Things were different.
Can't tell you what the charges are for security reasons, but you're on remand.
Yeah.
We're having a trial in secret for you. We'll tell you what the result is. You'll fuck. Hey, I'm not having that. It's against me rights.
Yeah, it's
I'll give you rights. Bop.
All changed now. All changed now.
Bop.
In fact, it reminds me when I went up to, I was taking someone to court. I was appealing in magistrates' court against data protection. And the final day where we had to go and give our speeches and stuff of the big hearing, they had a law introduced in Gibraltar, I forget the name of it, but it's the equivalent of in England and Wales of Police and Criminal Evidence 1984. And it'd been all over the news. Gibraltar's got this new law. And I said to the policeman who's in charge of the prisoners, because he was always in the court, like guarding the court, I said, so you've got this new act in? And he went, oh yes, as of today. And I said, so you can't, your police can't go down the cells and give a suspect a kicking to get a false confession out of them? And he went, oh no, not anymore, not as of today. And I'm talking 2014. And I thought, what the fuck? That's shocking.
It's true. About 30 years behind.
So
see the judge there with his laptop, and he's got an app.
Graham, they want ghost stories, that's what you said.
Ghost stories, yeah. So we're going to have to think about that.
Oh, Dion.
Google. Oh yes, the ghosts in
Dion,
the King's
in the Bastion. In the Bastion.
Well, before you start, I've got one thing to say. There is a general, can't remember his name.
Just going to get some ice, if that's not too rude. Is that okay?
Go for it. There was a general who was there and when they were building the King's Bastion, his name will come to me. I know his name, Booth, I think it's his name. And he was there right there because when they built the fort in time, I told you it was a weak point that the British had observed. Anyway, they built the fort, and he was there when they were building the fort. And he died of a ripe old age. He must have been 80 or something like that. And when he died, he wanted to be buried within the walls of the bastion, and they did. They buried him in a tomb, in a place within the bastion. And that's probably the place that the people that came across, because there was a lot of people killed in that battle, in the Grand Assault, it was called, the Great Siege of Gibraltar. And they did that in those days. They did it in the First World War. You know, you go to Verdun, to these big forts and things, and they're just full of bones. You know, they just buried the dead where they could, where the most convenient spot, and so these forts were just filled. And so I suppose the King's Bastion was what they would have found an area and put all the bones in there and just bricked them up. Because Fiona said the workmen came across when they were refurbishing the place. They knocked. You see a doorway that's bricked up. I mean, it's so tempting, isn't it, to think, okay, let's bash our way through there and see what's in there. And they're going, and they decided that the best thing to do was just brick it back up.
Oh, what was that? The Bastion?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But I was saying, General Booth is actually buried in the Bastion. They make no secrets of it. There's a plaque on the wall that says he's buried in there.
How do you know the plaque's telling the truth? Because I've told you, I know what they're like.
Maybe they just lie. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, they used to have a funny rule in the Bastion. I don't know if it still applies, but no police in the Bastion. Police were not allowed in the Bastion under any circumstances. It was very odd. And if there was any allegation of theft, it was all to do with the security people in the tower. They controlled the cameras for everything. I mean, it was quite frustrating because sometimes we want the police and they go, no, not allowed. Police would say, we're not allowed.
Well, the government own the Bastion. They're in ultimate control of it, and they just rent out the businesses to people, contractors.
Anyway, Dion, my mate, she went up to check Boyd's nightclub, which would have been the upper part of the Bastion. And
that's where the cannons would have been in the time of the battle, but it's got a roof on it now, and it's a nightclub.
So she went in, and they were saying to her on the tower, there's a man in there with you, and she said, I can't see a man anywhere. Mo said, he is. So she was walking around. They were going, go to your left, go to your right, left a bit, right a bit. And they said, you must be able to see him. You're standing right in front of him. He's looking at you. And she said, there's nobody. Anyway, she kept moving towards him. And then she said, I did see him. And he ran straight through a wall. And he was in old-fashioned military stuff. Well, they rewound the tape, and the 2 minutes that it happened were just pure white noise. They never got the evidence of it. And it was a famous story, and everybody used to talk about that. And I mean, Dion was my mate, and she told me that story over and over.
So how can it wipe the tape?
Don't know, but no one else had an opportunity to wipe the tape, and they had no motivation to wipe the tape. And she said he ran through a wall.
Whoever was in charge of the tape wiped it. That's
No,
what I think.
No, I don't think so. She said he ran through a wall.
Well, don't forget those walls weren't there. If you look at the model from 1865, the photographs, right, it was an open deck. The whole of the top of the bastion was open deck, and it had crenellations and it had cannons, the old cannons, muzzle loaders sticking out. And then the Victorians built the roof, and they built little bays for their rifled muzzle loaders. So the walls that were now surrounding these bays were never there in the time of the battle.
No.
And then in World War II they built anti-aircraft guns on the roof. So as years in weapons evolved,
I don't know if you've ever been into Boyd's, have you?
I have been into Boyd's,
right.
Yeah. But
so when you go in the larger area,
yeah,
Boyd's was basically a non-alcoholic nightclub for the teenagers, for kids.
Yeah.
The big part of the bar, it was in there. And then there was a wall splitting it off to the smaller bar.
But it's riddled with cameras everywhere, isn't
Yeah,
it?
well, he ran through the wall between the bars. So, yes, obviously that wall would not have been there.
No.
No.
That wasn't there until Victorian days.
And, well, I mean...
So we're talking prior to Victorian days, which adds up because the Great Siege was in 1782 and Victoria didn't get on the throne until 1837.
Yeah, there's loads of... You've been looking up ghost tours, haven't you? Oh,
I
we'll have to
have
go
in
on a ghost tour.
Gibraltar,
Look, gone very dark now, Graham. They can't
Well,
see us.
it's
night time.
dusk, isn't it? We are doing our little chats at dusk.
The moon.
The moon. Is it full? It's looking pretty full to me. Hidden behind your head, darling.
I think it's time for bed.
It is indeed. My beer has expired. I'm going to drink some gin and tonic.
I'm
I think.
expiring. I need to go to...
It's been a long, hot day. We've had a fabulous day out at... Well, I've had a fabulous day out at sea. Fiona didn't come.
But I got on with the boat. I got a lot
She
of
got
done.
on with a lot that she wanted to get on with, and I helped, didn't I, in the morning?
Oh, I couldn't have done it without you. That was bloody marvellous because it's a little circular saw. Could take someone's hand off.
Oh, easily.
And so he was cutting, and because
she
it was
was holding
down,
me.
I was holding him in case it sort of pushed you off the
Yeah,
boat.
yeah.
To hold you on the boat, very stressful actually.
So we cut these bits off that I'd put on years ago.
Well, we put it on. We had a theory, but I've got a better theory now.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll see you tomorrow. I hope you enjoy the films. I will keep looking for good stuff that we've recorded a couple of years ago that hasn't had any hits really to speak of, but it's good stuff. It really is. And good night. May your God go with you.